you'll notice a theme for the next couple of weeks. The first question we will say is anyone who does not have a moving robot right now? If so, please do not be embarrassed. Please speak up. We can get you the help that you will need. It doesn't have a mechanically built, wired, programmed, move robot chassis thing of some sort. If you're there and you just don't want to speak up because you're too afraid to speak up, first of all, don't be, because we're here to help. Send us an email so we can hook you up with a team in your area or find some place for you to go to get your chassis built. We're approaching week 4, and there's only 2 weeks left, so we got to get on this. So please know if you need help in the area. Mechanical, programming, electrical. Please, please, please let us know. We don't want you guys to get to your first event and be like, yeah, we kind of only move half of the time because we had a problem, we don't know what it is. Or in circles. If we can't figure out why, that's all it does. So, kind of things, please let us know. Number 2, stop build deadline or stop build day, or sometimes they call it bag day. It used to be called ship day because way back in the day we used to have to put our robots in crates and FedEx them to events. Now First Michigan is awesome and we don't have to do that anymore. It's coming February 21st, so that's 2 weeks from today. So just at this time, you guys will have to put your robots in the bag that you got in your kit of parts. You have to put a tie on it. We'll go through the exact procedure for that, probably last call before bag. So just waiting to you access to your robot. So work on all you can. All right, Clint, we're going to choosing a drive team. We're going to do that first so that we make sure that we get through that today. So if teams are at the point where they have a moving robot, they'll kind of idea of who's on the drive team and what you need, characteristics you need to be on the drive team so those people can be driving the robot. So go ahead and hop in here.
Sure. So I'm the field coach. So I'm the instructor that is behind the glass with this year 4 students. You have typically a driver, a player, and the pilot this season. So we usually, like I said, I've done it for, this will be my year of being the drive coach. Need to have an adult in that position. However, having an adult in that position can help alleviate some issues, with the team itself, with the teams, that kind of stuff, because one, every year that you have the same person being the drive coach, they learning to apply to the next season. So the team is that anything that happens out on the field, it's my fault, because I'm the one that told them to do those things or to whatever, and that the team should not hold the students accountable. They need to hold me accountable. And if anyone has any issues with the students that are driving, they can come through me, because sometimes students handle the pressure that they're under while behind glass and driving out there. So, field coach, I also, it's my decision of who will be the driver, operator, the pilot, and the human player. I'm the one that picks it. I do, my mentors or, talk to Brandy, ideas and thoughts of people. A lot of times, I personally will gauge it based on probably the number one thing that I gauge it on is work ethic. You teach someone to drive a robot. You can't teach someone to be a leader. You can't teach someone to be a go-getter, to be competitive, to always strive for doing their best. That's something that's just kind of usually innate into individuals. So I have those kind of traits, because typically your drive team is going to be the face of the team. That's who people see out in front. So you have people that out there that represent your team well, and that usually are the ones that know the most about the robot too, because put in the long hours. They're there at every meeting. They're staying late. They're there early, all that kind of stuff. So those are the criteria I look for. There are teams that will do tryouts where they'll have them go through some obstacle course to determine, who drives the best. You usually get an idea of who I would like to be in those positions, and then I have them drive the robot and observe them. And then, well, that person's a better driver than the other one. I'm going to have that person drive, and that's great. And if the drive team needs to be, they're a team, they need to be very, they need to work well together, right? You have anybody on the drive team who butt heads and stuff like that, it's going to make it so that you can even see the robot, that the robot's not performing, at best because of the flashing behind the glass. So that's kind of we do it on our team. And make sure that your drive team gets a lot of rest. Make sure they drink a lot of fluids. Sometimes it's easy for the drive team not eat, drink, other things like that. So you make sure that they do that. I mean, it's just like, starting quick on a football team. They need to be, in tip-top, condition and ready to play and ready to be focused. Out there, that 2 minutes and 30 seconds flies super fast, and it's like you were only out there for 10 seconds. So, if anyone has any questions, or Brandy, if you guys want to chime in with any other stuff that you guys have?
Do you want to kind of go through what Rush does?
Yeah, similar procedure. Again, going through and looking at the students that are willing to put in that extra time or willing to stay late are the ones that are getting their handy with the robot and with the programming. It's worked well for us that I think I'm almost now. We've had our manipulator driver as our programmer or one of the programmers. Because they understand how the robot's supposed to function. So in the field driving and something goes wrong, they can understand that something's going wrong and that we need to change strategy. So they're a little more in tune with what's going on with the robot since they've programmed it and been around it and gotten up and running. We haven't done. Go ahead.
It's very similar for us. There are some teams that have a pit crew and a drive team, and they're separate. My belief personally is that my drive team should be able to fix the robot if anything was to go well. So when we're in queue, if something's working right, they can fix it. It doesn't mean that they come back to the pits and tell everyone else, hey, fix my robot so I can go drive it. Usually I have the other opinion is that they should be the one making sure their robot is in tip-top conditions so that they can drive it appropriately. I'm also one to if someone has if they're not humble and they have a little bit of a cocky attitude, help someone out with someone else living in a heart.
Yeah. We have a separate pit crew that's also for preparing a robot for the match so the drivers can work together, the drive team can work together and discuss strategy with his. But usually any type of a build day or, on Thursday before the drive team is in there working on the robot. So like Clint said, they're probably the most in tune with what's going on with the robot. Had a decent amount of time hands-on with the robot. But like I said, separate pit crew that kind of takes care of the normal checks and maintenance of the robot while the drive team's talking strategy.
Yeah. And to clarify, I'm not saying that on our team, the drive team's the only one that works on the robot either. We have pit crew people as well. I guess my point I was trying to make is that the drive team, if no one else is around, has to understand how to fix that robot. Because if you make the championship where you got to walk, 10 to 15 minutes away from your pits out to the field and something's wrong, they got to be ready to fix it. You can't run back to the pits and have the pit crew fix it. So we definitely, it's good to have people in the pits ready to go to fix that robot when they come back. The more people that know about the robot, how to fix it, the better.
Clinton and Jason, do you want to talk about the difference between picking one drive team and sticking with it versus the whole giving everybody a chance mentality?
Yeah, we've chosen the drive team. Like most times, if someone has been a driver in a previous year, They usually are grandfathered into being the driver the next year. We have done tryouts in the past, and that is okay. But again, it's a lot of the chemistry and a lot of how well you work with the coach and how well the two drivers can work together. It's really important. And rather than switching that out and trying to find different chemistry every time, we normally will stick with our drive team. And especially if they're returning members, they may be drive team for a while. Just because they have the experience, they've been on the field, they understand the pressure, they can work well together. And all that experience usually is more than someone that's, good driver on the sticks.
I think the thing that Brandon was also trying to allude to is there's some teams out there that will change their driver match to match to match. So every match they put someone different in. I think that can be very good from an inclusive, everyone gets to try and everyone gets to have a good time, and it's about having fun. I agree this is a fun sport, but also it's a competition. It's a competitive sport, in my personal opinion. I'm a very competitive person. So the best way to make sure that your team puts their best forward to have the best one out there to drive there match after match after match. If someone was to drive for 24 matches, and they'll have more information and a better understanding of how to drive that robot than someone who just did every 8 matches, it's there to go in. You same thing about drivers, right? If someone just learned how to drive a car, they're probably going to be good as a 30-year-old person who's been driving a car for a really long time. So we try
what
to.
What about a scouting perspective also?
So our scouts, I assume we'll talk about scout on another plan, but our team scouts and we for consistency in teams to make sure that they're very consistent at driving, shooting, scoring, whatever it may be. And you have different drivers in every time. We actually see it in the data. They'll have a high match and a low match, a high match and a low match. And then we'll go to the team and say, hey, we noticed that your matches are like you're higher than low and higher than low. Is there a reason for that? And sometimes, that person drove in this match, and Susie drove in the second match, and Tommy drove in the next match. So it shows on our scouting that they're not consistent. So at that point, some teams might be like, wow, well, if you're inconsistent, you're going to do that in eliminations. We might need to find someone else that's more consistent that we can rely on and know they're going to give us X amount of points every time to try to win the event.
Anything else you want to add?
Nope, that's good.
It's kind of like a big thing for teams. I will tell you, like on our team, usually when the drive team is announced, there are kids that are crying because they didn't make drive team, or the kids who get cocky and full of those because they made drive team. And sometimes there's been years where everybody goes, yeah, that's exactly who I would have picked for drive team. And that's going to depend on your team dynamic, what kind of response you get to this. On team, vote is a four-letter word. We don't vote. I found that vote, you can't, especially when it comes to drive teams. Because you end up with half the team who was for Susie and half of the team that was for Johnny. And every time, Johnny wins, and every time Johnny messes up, the people who were for Susie are like, see, told you Susie would have been a better driver. And that can cause a lot of problems and tear apart your team. Those are just things that you guys want to think about.
And the drive team has, for the most part, the team at any given time can have the whole their shoulders. I don't comment, but we've had drivers in the past and operators in the past who at matches have, cried because they let the team down, right? So it's very emotional, and so especially if the people aren't behind them and backing them and supporting them. I mean, one of the best things that you can have, that team can have, is have their team in the stands cheering for them. And if match 4 was a bad one and you're up in match 10, the last thing that the drive team wants to do is not hear anyone cheering for them when they announce their team. Hear the team cheering for them can make a world of difference, so that match 10 is nothing like match 4, and they come out and they brush it off and they go forward and make the improvements to their driving, their energy, and all that kind of stuff. So it's a crazy emotional ride. It doesn't seem like much, but people on our team who are like, nope, I don't want to drive. I don't want to be on drive team. I don't want to be anywhere near it. I can't handle the stress.
You're suggesting that the mentors. Sorry, you're suggesting mentors then should.
Question, so go ahead.
You're suggesting then mentors should pick drive team.
To have mentors, and I say mentors pick the drive team, or a mentor or the field coach, depending on what you're going to do with that. And be very, very cautious of the different mentors and parents. Susie's parents always want the best for Susie, don't care about the rest of the team. And there's been parents that come to me and like, oh, my kid's really good at that. You should really look at them. And I'm like, I see what you're doing. Your kid will speak for themselves. So you don't think that you should. It's really tough your first season. But be careful of setting precedents. So your season, you vote, everyone votes who wants it to be. Well, next season, everyone's going to expect you to do another vote, and then people are going to start asking their buddies to vote for them. And so be very cautious that whatever you do, it might set the precedents for years to come. And like I said, maybe you're away because you don't want to vote, you don't want to say, well, I think you would do the best. And students clock in with hours and say, you know what, we're going to look at the top 6 people, whoever dedicates the most time, and we're going to pick 4 of you. And we're going to be the 4 that'll be drive team or something like that. It's really hard to say, but it's got to be what works for you. I don't know what your team's dynamic is. That's what our team does. Like I said, on our team, it's not even like a panel of mentors. It's me. I'm the one that decides. Because I'm the one that has to work with them. And, if I pick the right person, I'm the one that has to deal with us.
Okay. Thank you.
Yep.
And if you're trying to kind of have the opinion of, give everybody an opportunity, there's lots of other things that you assign students to do that are important roles on the team. Like, you will need a pit crew. Say you probably want no more than probably 5 to 7 kids on your pit crew. I'm going to do it in shifts, and then maybe you could do 2 shifts of 5 and have 10 kids that are on your pit crew. You can have lead scouts who are in charge of scouting. You can have students in charge of talking to judges about awards. So there are leadership roles on the team besides the drive team, and some of us on our team look at not being on drive team as a lesser role, but sports teams, there's a 1 starting lineup, and on the drive team, that's our stars, right? So it's just something to keep in mind.
You need all the cogs for the machine to work, right? So everyone needs to do their job and their responsibility. A thing that the drive team will do on our team is opportunities to praise the pit crew, to praise the programmers, to praise the scouters, and be like, hey, I love that you added that feature for programming that lets me hit that button to do that thing. It's so much easier for us to get that ball. Thank you for doing that. To tell the scouts, hey, we used your data and tried to do a strategy we didn't think about doing before because you gave us that data, and we were able to win that match because of you. So they can do that. The more the team is like, hey, we're all in this together. We're all in for the common goal. Trying to win as big as possible. Rank super high so that we can get a good alliance and win the event, right? As long as that's the mentality and the culture on your team, it should be an issue. But like we said, if we're trying to do both, it really turns into these camps where people get locked in and they want to what they vote for, and they don't get what they want.
All right.
All right. Any other drive team questions? If you would like to seek the advice of Jason or Clint when it comes to drive teams, feel free to send an email, especially if it's something like personal that you want to talk about or an opinion that you want to get. Feel free to contact us. We are definitely here to help you. This is probably one of the harder decisions you will make as a coach on the team. And then as you guys go on and be more veteran teams, you'll eventually have to pick chairman's presenters, which is a whole thing that's kind of like for me on our team. Choosing our chairman's presenters is just as stressful as Clinton choosing the drive team. So just let me ask, okay? Bumpers. You should be building your bumpers by now. You should have material, which came in your kit. You should have numbers. You should be working how big your chassis is. Start on your bumpers. Because of testing. Clint, have you covered the testing with the hopper with bumpers on?
I talked about that several. I'll go over it real quick in case people weren't on the call last week. Your bumpers matter for being tests. If you're testing anything with the hopper mechanism, if you're interacting with the boiler, shooting the low goal, the high goal, interacting with the gear mechanism, all these things are going to be affected by putting a 3 and a 1/4-inch bumper on the front, back, and sides of your robot. So you need to try to get those bumpers on as soon as possible. I mean, you get your bumpers on there, right? Because, or at least simulate where it was going to be because, go up to a hopper with the kit apart chassis right against the hopper, no wall or anything like that in between, no bumpers. Maybe it's fuel that dumped out of the hopper, go right into your robot. Move 3 to 4 inches away from the hopper, does it still fall in there? No. And then will your team know until they finally make the bumpers, go to their first event and try it, and they go, holy cow, this thing I thought it would work every single time. We're like 2 inches too short, and it never makes it into our robot. So it was extremely important. If you're doing that's anything with the bumpers, if you have like maybe an intake that goes outside of your frame perimeter, outside of your bumpers, and all are touching against that, it might affect how you pick up the fuel because the balls might bump out of the bumper and not reach the roller or not reach your intake, and it might push them away, that kind of stuff. I'd say that most times bumpers are probably the number one reasons why people don't pass inspection. It's because they know the bumper rules, they don't have all the bumper stuff laid out. I think every week we've probably talked a little bit about bumpers because it's an issue and it causes teams not to do it. And a lot of people wait till the last, the weekend, or they wait right before they got to bag it and be like, oh man, we don't have bumpers. Make sure you wait to physically attach your bumpers. The rookies if you use a kit apart chassis, the rookie kits come with really good bumper mounting kit that you can use. Get that up as soon as you can to start doing your testing and really figure out what robot kind of LEDs. Think about too, I'm going to kind of like segue a little bit, is make sure that you think about when your bumpers on, you're in, let's say, volume A, where it's 36 by 40 by 2 feet tall. Should always in your classrooms, your workshop, your school, your facility where you're building, measure those doors up. Right? Think they might go to another school that might not have double wide doors with no door jamb. And that has to go through that door to and from the field every single time you go to a match. Right? You're going to transport that robot to and from the field and going through doorways. Are you going to move your bumpers every single time? Are you going to get it so that you can set your robot up on end so it can fit through a door? I would say most times, most doorways are probably 28. Say the smallest ever is 28. 32 is probably reasonable. So 36 wide, 36 by 40 wide robot, when you got bumpers on, you might not fit through that door in the normal orientation. So you might want to think about that. What's your plan? A lot of people in those situations, when they get to events, they don't realize it, and they say, okay, well, when we go through the doorway, we're going to tip it up on 20 degrees, walk through the doorway, and then tip it back down. Our team will probably actually make some kind of mount on our robot cart so that we have the robot on the cart in that orientation, and we can go to and from the field, and it won't fall over or won't, damage or anything like that when putting it in that orientation.
I'm going to include some videos from Mike at RoboPromos for some tips on bumper assembly. You got in your kit of parts, you guys got the Andy Mark version of the kit of bumper mounting kit, where they're going to show the RoboPromo version of it. But there's still a lot of really great tips in here about stretching fabric, putting numbers on, those kind of things. And your material did come from RoboPromos. So check Mike out. He's a super nice guy. If you guys need more material, more numbers, anything, feel free to contact Mike. He's great.
Yeah. For the material, you do have to use, you have to go to robopromo.com to get coupon code to get free material. So if you haven't done that, do that this week, or this weekend, or tomorrow, or something so it gets to you. If you order it probably tomorrow, you'll probably get it Monday. So just so you follow through with that to get that free material. Go store, buy some plywood. The hard part might be, honestly, finding it in the pool noodles, finding a seamstress.
Yeah, you want someone with a sewing machine. So just a warning to you, call Grandma. Usually this is like, she always is looking for a way to help our team, and this is one thing every year we call her and we're like, hey, come sew our bumpers, and she's super proud and super honored to be part of our team when she usually isn't. So a good way for you to get a mom or a grandma or somebody involved on the team that might not have engineering or technical skills to lend, but they can sew.
There are ways to do it without sewing, using staples, and maybe you just fold it over and staple it to the plywood. But having someone who can seam things together, we usually like to have our bumpers all as kind of one sewn piece together, and then we wrap it around the wood and tool noodles. Stay down. We put aluminum angle on the top and bottom to prevent ring on the staples and a better look to it. So there's little things you can do. Sometimes people joke around and say that sometimes one of the best scouting methods is looking at people's bumpers, and if people took care into their bumpers to make sure that the bumpers were well built, they found the same thing with their robot, and they probably got a really well built robot as well. It's not always true, but it is something to take pride in because your robot's paying.
Perfect. Any questions on bumpers? I know we cover this every week, but like Clint said, bumpers are the number one reason people do pass inspection, and that is why we are reiterating this to you every week. So,
and the reason is because it takes so long to fix them. They're wrong. It takes a lot of time to fix them and make them correct. If you got the wrong wire, pull that wire out, put a new wire in, you're good. It take a long time to fix if they're done incorrectly.
All right, so we're going to move on to the cost accounting worksheet. If you guys talk to veteran teams, they call it the BOM or the BOM. It used to be called the Bill of Materials. Changed the name to the cost accounting worksheet or the cost. claim. Jason?
Yeah, the big thing on this is making sure you try to do your best to put every part, if you will, that's on your robot. Things that inspectors, to get into the gritty, the things that inspectors are looking for, they're trying to ensure that not a single item is over $400 and the total amount is not over $4,000 or $3,500. I forget what the number is this year. Making sure your total cost of your robot. Yeah, 4,000. So that your total cost of your robot is not over 4,000. Those things that they're trying to look for. When you're putting your numbers in there, anything that's provided in the kit of parts that count against your cost, so the cost of the bill retail doesn't count against your total 4,000 that you put on that robot. What you do in that situation is you say that it's part of the KOP, part of the kit of parts, and you put a zero cost next to it. When it comes to material that you cut or fabricate, you take into account the fabrication that your team did on it. You take it as raw material. So if you bought some aluminum for $10, you have to put that in a tent stick for $10. We'll just say you only use 2 feet of it. All you say is it's $2 worth of aluminum. Even though you bought $10 worth, you use 2 of that 10 on the robot, and it doesn't matter what holes you put in it. So it's again just nice to have someone kind of go through and down. We bought this, and we put that on the robot. It's tedious and takes some time. Just on it sooner than later. It's not bad. You can make sure you have an Excel document. I usually do a Google Doc. Leave it on my phone, and when the inspector comes in the pit, I give the phone to the student to give to the inspector, and the inspector looks at it, and they say we're good, and then I have it on me at all times. The next event, you don't forget, we forgot to have the bill of materials. When we talk about bag and tag sheets, we also try to throw a bill of materials in the bag and tag sheets. So once again, it's another location to have it, and make sure you have it at all times.
About the bag and tag sheets the week before, and
you don't have to have it like with the robot at all times. Just like when you're going through your initial inspection, it's like the last thing they ask you is like your cost and or bill of materials. Do you have that? And you show it to them and say, okay, you're good, and they sign off that you have it. You can put it in a briefcase and leave it there for the rest of the weekend.
Thing other than bill of materials?
CAW.
CAW.
Yeah, the cost accounting worksheets. There's a template available that FRC provides. I don't know if it's up yet. Sometimes they post it like later in the season. I don't know if it's up yet, but they have an example. Just kind of copy that example, so you can number in. They might have a few examples of items that come in the kit of parts that are already on there, and items that you have. Most younger teams don't have many issues because they have a couple things. They're not adding these really complicated sensors or anything like that, where some teams, I've never heard of a team getting close to spending $4,000 on their robot. And occasionally someone will try to use a sensor that is $300 or $350 on it. They try to use some LiDAR sensor or something like that. So most times it's not an issue as long as you have it. Just make sure you have it, and you'll be fine.
The last robot thing we want to cover before we get into team management tasks and talking about preparing for your first event is the pre-inspection checklist. And you're to yourself, we still have 2 weeks to go. Why would we start the pre-inspection checklist right now? This is something that you can look at right now. They give you basically what you're going to go through at the event. But before you can compete in any rounds, your robot will have to go through inspection. They're going to measure it. They're going to look at your bumpers. They're going to make sure that you're not using too many motors or the wrong compressor or the wrong wire. They're going to go through this big, huge, long checklist. be going through this now to make sure that everything you have on your robot is legal. Because if you have something on your robot that is illegal at an event, you will pass inspection, so you will fix it. Okay? So there have been teams who start inspection at 6 o'clock on Thursday night and don't get through inspection until 10 o'clock Friday morning. That is bad. It could take, what, Clint, 20 minutes, maybe? Jason?
Yeah,
20
about
minutes?
that much.
Yeah.
Half an hour.
Once again, if you went through the inspection checklist yourself and your students that are doing it have went through and know the answers to it, it goes much faster. Right? If you've never done that before, you're just slowing down the process. You know, if the inspector says, "How many orders do you have?" Students look at each other like, I don't know. Hold on, we got to ask someone, or look up what field it is and all that. If they know the answers to it, it goes much quicker and much faster, to the point where inspectors don't really ask all the questions because they know you went through it. They know you've done it. They don't need to look closer because of that. You're good.
And you start doing it now, so you are making sure that you're not putting illegal things on there, because it will tell you what gauge wire you're allowed to use. It will tell you how many motors you can use. So make sure that you're looking at that as you're going along and putting together your competition robot, because I'm assuming where all of you guys probably are right now is kind of starting to move from your chassis to something that probably resembles something that you'll take to competition. So make sure you're doing it right from the get-go.
I love your optimism.
Are you being
inspection list
facetious?
found.
We will put the link to it in the notes. Usually if you go onto FIRST's website, not First of Michigan, but actually FIRST, they have a resource library, and most things that you will need are going to be in the resource library. But we'll include a link to it. This year's isn't exactly out yet. We can link to one that's been in the past that has all the information that you guys need in it. So, does anyone have any other robot-related questions before we move into team management tasks?
Your husband up for a couple of weeks to help us? Oh.
If I was done, possibly, but it's not. It's like way far up too, by the way.
I personally would love to clone myself, but I don't think the rest of the world would want me cloned.
I can't build a robot, so Clint's got to be there. You're a trek to Grand Blanc. You can come visit us. Come for a day. Come on to Premier Tooling Systems. You're first, and you're probably not the last. So come on. We eat. We have good food. So there's that at least.
No, that does sound good. I have a guy with like 8 years experience out of Detroit coming up Saturday, so hopefully he'll give us some good tips.
You guys are like in the middle of nowhere though, right?
Yeah, the sticks can't even find us. Yeah.
Okay, so we're going to go into team management tasks. The first, just a quick reminder about awards. Flowers is due 1 week from today. If your students are planning on nominating one of the mentors on your team for the Woody Flowers Award, 4,000 character essay with a picture collage. It is due 1 week from today. That must be submitted through the student TIMS system, the TIMS or whatever it's called. With the lead or secondary mentor have to designate up to 2 award submitters in order for them to be able to do that. So make sure that you've done that. And the Dean's List Award, which is giving 2 students, sophomores or juniors, who have proven leadership on your team, that is due 2 weeks from today. So there's just a couple of deadlines that are coming up for you. We did discuss both of these awards at length in this calls. So at the bottom of each week's notes, there's links to the previous calls, so you can go ahead and check that out. First, the questions about the criteria for the awards. Does questions about those 2 awards, general questions about the Dean's List Award or the Woody Flowers Award? Okay, if you do, let us know. All right, one of the main questions we're getting at this time of the year is, how do I know what's going on for my events? I haven't heard anything yet. Usually, about 3 weeks before the event, you will be getting an email from either the event coordinator or the volunteer coordinator. I'll go out to the primary and secondary contacts as listed in STEMs. Make sure that if you're in charge of logistics or you are to the robot, that you are one of those 2 people. If it's the principal of your school and the administrator of your district are your primary and secondary contacts, you're kind of bad day because the information is not going to get to you. So make sure that people who will be using the information are the people who are getting the information. Okay? So in the first in, which is the organization that we are under, is only to Michigan. We stay within the Michigan districts. People outside Michigan don't come in to compete with us. And for Michigan teams to go outside of Michigan, they have to go through a special process to compete outside of Michigan. All of the Michigan districts are listed on First in Michigan's website. We'll put a link directly to the event page on the First Michigan website. Go to firstinmin.com and click on FRC events for the 2017 season. It takes you to a big long list of all 24 or 28 million districts that we have, again, organized by the order which they will take place. If you click on the name of your event, it will take you to a page that has information on it. 2 emails on there. One is the event coordinator. The event coordinator handles the venue, the logistics, usually like stuff like pre-order lunches, have a person on your team with disabilities or special needs or allergies that you need to make the event aware of. That is the event coordinator that you're going to be contacting. Tier coordinator is the person who handles all the volunteers and all of the volunteer roles. Events probably take somewhere around 80 people to run and to run efficiently. And the tier coordinator is in charge of managing and scheduling all of those volunteers. So a question about something like, can we plug crock pots in the cafeteria? Contact the volunteer coordinator is not going to be beneficial to you. You want to contact the event coordinator because that's a venue-related question. Try not to spam your volunteer coordinator and event coordinator with emails that you could possibly look up yourself. When you go to the event page for your event, find the event agenda. You'll find that information like driving directions, parking information, those kind of things. You'll find the team list of who's playing there. Find all of this stuff before the event even takes place. A lot of districts already have it up there for you, and you should go in and look at all of this and familiarize yourself with this information. The first day of the event, so events usually load-in is on Thursday night. Press matches start on Friday morning. Once everyone has passed inspection, and until everyone has passed inspection, we'll produce and distribute the match schedule. It will be one copy will be printed and handed to teams, and it will also be posted on the site for event. It will be online. Going to the field or going to the event coordinator, going to the volunteer coordinator and saying, is the match schedule ready yet? Is the match schedule ready yet? Who am I playing? Who am I playing? Who am I playing? Not any good until everyone has passed inspection. So, rookie teams. Here's another reason that you should be utilizing that pre-inspection checklist. Because if the match schedule, they will probably wait for you, and the whole event will be like hours behind schedule because a team didn't pass inspection. Don't matter.
Well, hold on.
He's the guy who's like, I'm the rookie team who passed inspection first.
Most of the match schedule, once everyone's checked in, like, they just have to, like, show that they're there. We'll start the match schedule before you pass inspection. You would not be able to go to the field and get qualification points until you pass inspection. So you're only hurting yourself at that point. But yeah, you have to register, though. So don't get there.
You're hurting your alliance,
late Friday morning
because they're not a robot.
Yeah. And if you go out on the field and you're not through inspection, you'll actually get yourself a red card and them a red card and actually hurt them worse. So, but try to get as soon as you can and get through inspection as soon as you can.
Yeah. So the last call before events, we'll go through exactly what to do on the days of the event and those kind of things. But all information for you is going to be on this website. So please take the time to look at it, especially if you are going to a place you've never been before, or if you are a mentor who has never been to a competition, this you're going to want to see. We'll also end that if you are a mentor who's never been to a competition, that if you are not competing in week one, event before yours. Okay, an event that's local to you or within an hour drive of you, go to an event, familiarize yourself with it. So when it comes to sending your team event agenda and information and all that stuff, you're familiar with the nomenclature and the processes for you to send this to your student. Highly recommended. The first weekend in March. Whatever that date is, I'll bring up a calendar for you. One is March 7th, 3rd, and 4th. One, there's an event at Kern University in Flint, Lakeview High School in Battle Creek, and Southfield High School in Southfield. 3-week one event. Our not be competing at week one, Kettering University, but our team is on the planning committee for that event. And our sister team is going to be competing at that event, so we will be there visiting on Saturday. Those team rush usually go to an event, do a little bit of pre-scouting /
week one in Duluth. We an out-of-state regional. There week one, and then probably week two, we'll probably have a small crew to one of the events on Saturday, at least for the finals, and compete starting week 3 in Waterford.
All right, week 2 is Ann Arbor, Centerline, Flint, and St. Joseph. So, isn't originally from St. Joseph? Okay. So that's kind of the information about the event. We'll go through probably next week the exact schedule of what to do at an event, when weapons for you to make agendas for your team. I'm an agenda person. That's like my job on our team is to make agendas and stuff. So we're going to go through a detailed list of what you can do to prepare your team for the event. Then the last thing I want to talk about before I move on to that, does anyone have any questions about finding information on your events? Do you guys all know what events you're registered for? know what events they're registered for?
Yes, there are events.
Okay, if you don't know what events you are going to, or if you're curious about what events other teams are going to, there's a website called thebluealliance.com, and you can type in by team name, by city, or by team number, and find teams, and it will show what events they're attending. It has team's history in there, so if you're like, hey, I'm really curious about what a Team Rush has won, you can go to the Blue Alliance and type in 27, and it will give you their entire massive, impressive, amazing history. Team Rush is the best.
You guys aren't so bad yourself.
No, for real. Like, the Engineers would not be who we are today if it were not for Team Rush. Like, they have probably been the single most influential team on in our team's 10-year history. So, it is the best.
And which Team Rush technically?
Michigan?
Berkston? You don't have Ari. Is Ari one of your mentors?
Mm.
But
It is down North
Detroit's all
Oakland County. Like, North Oakland County.
I
Like,
just
if
know
you've
he's
ever
from
been to, like, Knob or DTE, that's just down the road from Clark High School.
Yep.
Oh.
Throws away.
So, our last item on our agenda, we've got about 7 minutes left, is what you need to be doing at your school to make sure that you have all of the paperwork and things that you need to have done. I know our school has a 3-day requirement for turning in permissions or requests for days off school, transportation, having students request homework, those things. So dependent on your school's policy, you need to look into this and make sure that you've applied for field trip days for your school. I know our school, because the students miss school on Friday of our competition, that they are considered on a field trip because we have a school club, so it doesn't count toward their absences. So this may be something that you want to look into. If you are the school employee, you may know how to do this. If you are not the school employee, you need to find who is in charge of doing this. You may also want to find out things like chaperone radios that are required so that you can start getting mentors and parents after the days off work to either transport kids or be at the event to supervise kids. Start to decide how you're going to transport your kids to school. Are you going to use school buses? Are you going to charter a bus? Are you going to ask parents or mentor volunteers to guide your students? These are the things that you need to be thinking about and start putting in place, especially if you are competing week 1 or week 2. For our team, as far as homework goes, our students do not get a makeup day for the work that they miss while they're at the event. We have them get their homework in advance, and they have to turn it back. They have to turn it in on the day they return to school. It's a sick day where they get an extra day to make it up. We are students to go into their online grade program. It's called Jupiter in our district, and make sure that they are not missing any assignments, that they're not performing poorly in school. We require our students to have a minimum of a 2.5 GPA in order to be excused from school. These are things that you guys can think about whether or not you want to implement a similar requirement on your team, or that's totally up to you. Dave,
have
you
maybe
want to talk about
2
what
members.
Team Rush does? In our beginning, we may have to. We gradually increased our recruitment to be on the team, and we actually found when we put into place a minimum requirement, our students performed better in school. When we started our team, school's policy for missing school for athletics, they only had to have a 1.5 to miss school for athletics. So we made ours at 2.0 to be like, we're 0.5 in this boards. And now we're up
Did
to 2.5 and no missing assignments.
Did you welcome back, Carter? Sweat hogs is mine.
And you want to talk a little bit about what Rush does and what Rush's requirements are for traveling and what you guys have to go through to apply field trip days and transportation and things?
Yeah, we have to do permission slips for each event to be approved by our Board of Education. And especially because most of the trips that we do are going to, like especially Duluth and Worlds, they're overnights. I'm not sure if they're day trips, if they need to be approved by your Board of Education, but that's something that you might want to look into. And similar grades requirement, but I can't remember what our rule is. I can't remember if it's 2.0 or 3.0. One is 2.0 that we have to keep. C's are better, right? And we probably should have the all assignments in requirement, but we don't. We do require the students to do a get a report from their teachers, and was saying they can print off their current grades online, take them to their teachers, have them sign off on them, and then have their assignments that they're missing there. We do study time events, so sometimes at the events, not everyone is actively going to be able to be in the pit or building their bot or participating in things. So we'll do study time sometimes at the venue. We'll do study time back at the hotel. So we'll do dinner and then we'll do an hour or two of study time so they can have time to work on those assignments so they're not trying to frantically do it Sunday night when they get home. That we do.
We got about 2 for open questions, if anybody has any questions at all.
Hello?
Yep.
We can.
Hi, I'm calling from first robotics team.
Yep.
532.
Okay.
I have a few questions. Like for programming, is there something we have to do before we start programming?
You flash or image your RoboRio and up firmware.
So what I did so far is we downloaded LabVIEW, and we can't find specific things, the programmer. He's trying to find the motor and stuff but he can't find it. And so far for our bread for electrical parts, we're trying to put the thing the wires together, but some just don't make sense. For RoboRio, it has 2 wires, a black wire with another black wire with writing, but we can't find that in our kit. So I'm wondering if there's an alternative for that.
Well, let's try to find the link. The 2017 control system setup.
They sometimes have a wire diagram to follow. I was in and out with this. So you're looking for a different wire? Do you know where that plugs in on the RoboRio, the one that you're talking about?
Give me 1 second, please. I have a website where I'm kind of going step by step with it, follow directions. It's for the 2017 control system, and there's a website for it, and I've been following it, but I had to stop because there was this part where confused me because we don't have those wires, and we did inventory, and there were no wires like that. That had and one had.
Which section are you on? I'm assuming you're on the WPI lib.
I'm on WPI. Yeah, I'm on the 2017 FRC control system. That's the website, and the I'm on is It's a radio power and Ethernet.
So you're talking about the radio? The radio power, or are you talking about the robo-reel?
So there's two wires that go into the voltage regulator module, and it goes to the 12V/2A, and we don't have those wires. And like we did inventory.
You don't have a plug for your radio.
Yeah. So when you got your kit, your came in like 2 totes and a battery, and there was one really small object that was separate, and that was the power cable, is one separate.
Really?
So if you can try to.
I remember this stuff from putting it together. The picture talked about the picture didn't line up with the this year's model of the power connector for the Ethernet. You're looking for a black cable. So it came in, and this is what this gentleman's trying to work out, is if you got it in your kit. But you're looking for something on one end looks like it might plug into an alarm clock or a stereo or something along those lines. And then the back end should just be 2 black wires that have already been stripped and twisted. It does not match the exact description from the Getting Started control guide. I remember taking pause at that, but that small item that this gentleman's talking about should be it.
Yeah. So there are, to answer your question, there are ways to get other ones. Be sure Andy Mark, if you go to mark.com, he offers a power cable for the D-Link or Open Mesh radio. Part number is AM-3082. It's a $4 item. If you can't find anything,
did you say AM3082?
AM for Andy Mark -3082. So this for just 3082 on their website. It should come up. But like we were saying, is there should have been one in the kit of parts. It's not going to maybe look exactly like the pictures you're following, but basically a barrel plug is what it's called, with leads on the other side. So you can go through your kit to see if just wire leads, like just wire.
On the other side, what would be what's like there's on one side, what's on the other side?
It's a barrel plug. It's a silver barrel. Barrel was probably over 1/8 of an inch, maybe 1/16 of an inch in diameter.
So like a power adapter. If you like one of those big power adapters, you stick into the wall, and it's the silver end that has a circle. Should look like that.
Okay.
If you can't find it or you can't get it through Andy Mark, shoot either Clint or I an email, and we'll see if we can get you one.
Okay, thank you. And like for the programming, as I was saying, we just downloaded LabVIEW, but we can't find any of the parts. So I was wondering, after we finish, like we put all of our major electrical, like our core parts on, is it supposed to start programming?
Programming now.
Oh, that's the control system.
Like, you should be looking into programming, and even if you're looking at flashy lights on Rio and stuff like that, even if you don't have your whole robot built, you should be looking at how to deploy code, code, debug code. I would not wait until everything's built, because that day may never come, because your mechanical people will wait till the last hour of that day before they turn it over to programmers. That's just normally happens. So you can get them in there and say, hey, for 2 hours on Saturday, it goes to programmers, and they try to deploy default code, or they try to change something, and go from there.
Website we can use to like step-by-step programming, because we can't seem to find, and like none of our group is experienced in programming.
The screen steps so far, it's probably good to go through. So you get to that into of programs. So that same WPI lib screen steps, there's links to C++ programming, Java programming, and LabVIEW programming. That'll help to you through that. You good, Clint?
I mean, the other spot we have, if you go to 2337.com, and we have a tab at the top called Resources, then it's LabVIEw. It says default code 2337.com.
37.com.
Yeah, make sure you put team out front. Yes.
Okay, I can't hear you. The beginning of the website.
I look at the website and then we can talk about where they're at real quick so that we can get this across to them. It's TAM337.com. There we have a tab at the top that says Resources. We have links to where to get LabVIEW, where to download the stuff, how to deploy default code. So my assumption is that you guys didn't go to like a quick build or anything like that. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Okay, so what I would do is get your kit apart chassis built. I don't know where it's at right now.
We
your
built
built
our chassis.
On top?
No, we half of our electrical parts done, but we stopped at that part where it had the two black wires. Okay. We got stuck there.
Okay. Yeah, so on our website, I think we might even have a wiring diagram of how to like minimalistically get you up and running so you can deploy default code. Because the sooner you do that, the sooner you're going to be feeling a lot more relief. Because there are some nuances of deploying code, connecting to the robot, all kind of stuff. So I would start with ours first, just because we try to trim to being only the stuff necessary to get it operational. The WPI stuff and the screen stuff, that's really good. So when you need to go further than getting some default code onto the robot, but I would do that as soon as you can, because your programmer, they're going to run into issues. I mean, even our team runs issues every season, with connecting to the robot and stuff like that. So do it sooner than later.
I have, the phone was breaking up when you were saying your website. All I heard was T2337.
Let's give out the website, please.
TAM.
TM
27.com.
Okay.
And then at the top of the page, there's a banner that says Resources, and then LabVIEW Resources.
LabVIEW?
Yep.
May I ask where you're located? Oh, far for you. We went to Saginaw last weekend to Swan Valley, and their programmers got my guys right up to par. You have another team if you can take your programmers to an experienced team that uses LabVIEW, it works sweet for us.
Looking at the MES, or are you at the, where are you working out of?
We school, so we didn't know MES until the kickoff, but now we know we're going to try to do it next year with MES. Just doing it by ourselves.
Okay. Email address? Here, I don't know if it's easier for you to give me your email or me to give you my email, and we'll try to correspond.
Your email.
Okay.
J.
Yep. M. A. R. K. F. ostrich.
Owl.
I-L.
IL.
Al.com.
.com. So JMARKEINL@gmail.com.
Oh, like ostrich?
Oh, missed the O. So it's JMARKESINLO.
No L. So N-O, like no.
Okay, thank you. Thanks. I will contact
Send
if
me
we need
email
any help.
and yeah, we'll try to
Right.
figure out a time that maybe I could stop down. What day are you guys meeting?
Mondays through Fridays, except Wednesdays from 3 to 5.
All right. There's no possibility of meeting. Is there a possibility of meeting later one night?
Oh, I can talk to my coach about so much.
Yep. Give me an email and we'll try to figure something out.
Thank you.
All right, thanks. Have any other questions?
Just a comment.
Yep.
Clinton, thank you very much for the batteries and for sending me that gate reducer so quick. We got it together in the motor and working already today, so thank you very much.
Man, glad to hear that.
Any?
Team is for now. Thank you.
All right. Good deal. Everyone have a good night. Thanks again for joining the call, and we'll talk to you next week.
Thanks very much for everything you guys are doing. We appreciate it.